We have a massive Kristaps Porzingis injury update as Kristaps Porzingis himself spoke out about his injury, how concerned he is, how frustrated he is, and how it wasn't as damaging as he originally thought, which is huge news for Boston Celtics fans around the world. Will he be back for the second round? Will he be back for the Eastern Conference Finals? We will break down all of that on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. But before we dive in on all of this news, I just wanted to let you guys know that Game 1 of Round 2 for the Celtics will start on Tuesday. We will have a live watch-along live stream. We're going to have a special guest on the live. Drop down who you think is going to be down below. I'm going to post a community post later today, and that will get you all hyped up. Hope to see you all there on Tuesday night. But without further ado, let's dive into the topic at hand. Make sure to grab a snack, as it's going to be a jam-packed episode. And the first thing that we're going to be diving in is Kristaps Porzingis giving an update on his injury, which is absolutely fantastic for all of us Boston Celtics fans. We've already had a video breaking down an update, kind of giving a timetable, a week to 2 weeks possibly. But now Kristaps Porzingis, the source, is the guy that is breaking down this news. And as Kristaps Porzingis says, he's not on the floor yet, but very soon he expects to start doing some stuff. He's still in the weight room, slowly building up. Each day, a lot of progress. Still very fresh, but making progress and doing good, which is great to hear for Celtics fans. You want to see him making progress. Less than a week after having this solar strain, he's still in the gym. He's still working out. He's still trying to get back. And you can tell Kristaps Porzingis is hungry to be on that court with his teammates, with Jaylen Brown, with Jayson Tatum, with Derrick White, with all of those guys. He wants to be a part of this. He wants to bring some winning culture. He wants to participate in this great playoff basketball. He doesn't want to be sitting on the sidelines. So he's working back. He's trying his hardest. Again, not in the gym yet, not doing any drills, but working with some weight training, trying to get some stuff back, trying to figure out how comfortable this calf strain is going to be is huge, especially with less than a week with his injury already being suffered. But as Noah Dalzell gives us, Kristaps Porzingis still says there's no target date. It will be clear once he starts doing more stuff, and he's expecting to recover at a historic rate, which is huge. We saw an update yesterday with Giannis Antetokounmpo with a similar injury with Kristaps. He said after 3 weeks of sitting out, he felt not comfortable going back in, which was very, very scary for Celtics fans like myself. But after hearing Kristaps Porzingis say he's going to come back in an historic rate and already see him working out in the gym less than a week after getting injured, I am confident this man will be back by the playoffs. I don't believe that he'll be back by the second round, but I do believe he'll be back for the Eastern Conference Finals where the Celtics will need him versus tough teams like the Knicks or possibly the Pacers, whoever they match up against. And then when looking in the Western Conference, teams like the Nuggets, teams like Minnesota, even a team like Dallas and Oklahoma City Thunder, they have big men that are pretty solid for their core. So we're going to need Kristaps Porzingis to help us out in that regard. But if we want to look at another tweet from Josue Pavon, he says that Kristaps Porzingis says there's no targeted date, but he is responding well to treatment. Porzingis says he isn't in a rush to return. He wants to treat the injury accordingly, but he says he feels like he's getting better every day, which again, even better news. We obviously know with Kristaps Porzingis, ever since he's arrived with Boston, he's had some injuries. He had the plantar fasciitis over the summer. He rested that to make sure he was ready for the start of the season. He had that calf injury, which had him out for 7 games throughout the year. He had a hamstring injury this year, which he was out for 8 games. So he's been rested accordingly. Again, in the playoffs, they're treating it no different. They want to make sure he's ready to go, and that's why I don't expect him to be back for this second round. I think that the Celtics feel confident going into the second round like myself, and even if they do not have Kristaps Porzingis, they can still beat either the Cavs or the Magic, and I do believe that they'll want to rest Kristaps Porzingis up for the Knicks or for the NBA Finals, in which they will take on a team with a good big man. But if we want to keep looking, Kristaps Porzingis said it's been tough, but he's going to work to get back out there as fast as possible, saying he's not going to lie. It's definitely been tough rehabbing, trying to get back together, but the first few movements are really tough. It gets you down for a second, but it is what it is. It's part of sports, and that these things happen. And Kristaps Porzingis, I'm glad, is looking at it on the other side of the stick, not getting depressed, not getting frustrated at himself, realizing, hey, everybody gets injured. Everybody gets injured in sports. It was just my time to get injured. And unfortunately, it sucks that he got injured. He's willing to rehab. He's willing to push through it, and he'll be back better than ever. From Jared Weiss, we can see that Kristaps Porzingis says, it's something, it's not nothing, It was a little bit of time for sure, but I'm doing everything I can to speed it back up because I want to be back out there as soon as possible. So he wants to be out there as soon as possible, doesn't want to rush it, and doesn't want to tweak it, which is great to see. The staff is making sure that he's taken care of. Even if he physically wants to be out there on the court, he knows for his best safety not to, and to rest up, which is huge. And if we want to keep diving in, Porzingis kind of explains how the solar strain happened, saying that he was going for a rebound and he stepped on Tyler Hero and rolled his ankle, He came back, maybe started to compensate with the other side a little bit too much or something, and as soon as he pushed off, he felt something. And you saw my reaction on the court. And yes, as we all did, it was very, very frustrating for Kristaps Porzingis. We could see Joe Mazzulla talked about how he saw him roll his ankle on Hero and thought he was just going to play through it. We were all kind of a little bit concerned. We were like, all right, Kristaps, just play through the rolled ankle. You'll be okay. And like you mentioned, maybe put too much pressure on the other side. Kind of messed himself up a little bit, which, again, not what you want to hear from a Celtics fan. But again, Kristaps trying to play through it, trying to do everything he can. Again, we're wishing nothing but the best for our guy in Kristaps Porzingis because, again, we need him for these playoffs. We need him for these tough Western Conference opponents. And again, with some recovery process, he's controlling the inflammation, starting to do some movements. And today, he had a pretty good day. He started doing some new stuff, and it's almost like he's had a pretty big jump each day, which is better and better for the fans. You know, again, like we mentioned, this is a less than a week of him injuring his shoulder strain. He's already working in the gym. He's trying to get on the court, even though he physically can't. But every single day seems to get better and better. A big jump for him, which is huge. Absolutely huge. And we want to keep diving in. Obviously, Kristaps being out means that other guys like Kornet and Tillman are going to have to step up. And this is what he had to say about those guys stepping up. And he said, of course, I'm around practice all the time, seeing what these guys do at the stations and stuff. And he expects those guys to get more minutes now. Al is obviously starting, and we already have Al, who's a great presence for us 24/7. And now Luke and X are probably going to get some time. I think it's going to be good for me to be around just to see if I can give those guys something that I see, and we can keep going the way that we're going no matter who's out. I expect these guys to step up and play at a high level. And I love that Kristaps Porzingis is believing in his guys, believing in his teammates, like Joe Mazzulla is with his stay ready group. Like we saw with Luke Kornet in Game 3. He came back from injury, didn't play that great, but in Game 4 and Game 5, where he needed to step up with no Porzingis, he was an absolute beast, limiting Bam to 2 of 12 on shots in the entire Game 5, which is absolutely fantastic. Luke Kornet put the clamps on the best scorer for the Miami Heat in that entire series. When that mattered most, when the Celtics needed him to step up, he did it. Now, with Xavier Tillman, we saw him get some run late in the fourth quarter towards the end of the game. I would love to see X get some big-time run, kind of working alongside Al Horford as that double big rotation that they used to run alongside each other. Maybe Joe Mazzulla will sprinkle that in depending on the matchup. And like Joe Mazzulla was talking about at practice today, I do not have the quote, but regardless of who they have, Orlando or Cleveland, because we do not know who our matchup is, the Boston Celtics are going to be ready to go. They're mastering both of those teams' kind of fundamentals, and then once they figure out who their specific matchup is, they're going to hone in on 2 or 3 specific things to make sure they get the job done. So I'm not worried. The stay ready guys are going to stay locked in, and who knows, with a different matchup like the Miami Heat, we could see different lineups. We could see Xavier Tillman being prioritized over Luke if they have a smaller big. Or we could see, Al Horford and Xavier Tillman get some double big lineups. I'm very excited to see what Joe Mazzulla can do with this team. But before we head out, we're going to break down 2 more quotes from Kristaps Porzingis here, saying that he said he pushed off and felt something. It was like, and you saw my reaction on the court, But once he got the diagnosis, he calmed down and realized it looks like it's not as bad as initially thought, as he thought it was, talking about the MRI, which, again, we're not going to know the full details on the MRI, that whole speculation, but it's great to know that it's not as bad as Kristaps Porzingis predicted it to be. And Kristaps Porzingis said, it's something. It's not nothing, So I'll take a little bit of more time for sure, but I'm doing everything I can to speed it up because I was to be back out there as soon as possible. But I'm understanding that the worst thing would be probably is to re-aggravate that. So being smart, and you would have to just ask the medical people about the specifics of it, and I'm kind of just following the plan. But yeah, I'm hoping for a return as soon as I get better. So again, Kristaps Porzingis going to wait out the training staff, make sure that those people give him the A-OK, but he's ready. He feels confident. He wants to be back out on the court regardless of his health, but let's see him work back and get to it. In my honest opinion, I don't think he's going to come back this Eastern Conference, this second round. I think they're going to hold him out to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I do believe that is the smart matchup for the Boston Celtics. Drop your thoughts down below. Do you guys think they should bring him back in the next round, or do you think they should hold him out for the Eastern Conference Finals? And like I mentioned, we'll catch you all on Tuesday with our special guest. We'll have a big announcement on the community page shortly, so let me know who you guys think it is in the comment section. Like I said, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode where we broke down a major Kristaps Porzingis injury update. I'm Bruce Veliz. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Go Boston Celtics, and as we look for our next opponent in the second round, hope you guys have a great day. Peace out, everybody.